Hello tanks and tankettes, and welcome to a viewer replay. This time it's the turn of Toprem here, and he's in the AT-8, which is the tier 6 tank destroyer on the Nuffield line, which leads up to the 183. Now I say the Nuffield line, it's really tier 5 to tier 9 that are the Nuffield designs, and then of course at tier 10 you've got the monster Death Star. But of those Nuffield designs, this one is probably the weakest tier per tier. You have a big upgrade in your gun from the AT-2, which has got either a quick-firing but rather puny little 6-pounder gun or a 3.7-inch howitzer. This gets the option of the 17-pounder, and tier 6 with a 17-pounder gun is a good place to be. But your armour is actually worse than the AT-2. Now, not only have you got those little cupolas on the top, you've got the commander's cupola plus a pair of little MG cupolas, which are, I think, around about 100mm, no, 127, 130, something like that. More than 100 anyway. But then on the actual front armour, well, you've got the middle section being 200mm, but the entire right side, and it's basically defined by, there's kind of like a weld line you can see on the front. So you've got the front section, and then you've got the Polston gun with a little weld line delineating them, and that's only about 90mm of armour, so that's actually weaker than all the bits that stick out on top. So a lot of people know to shoot the commander's hatch on this thing, or the commander's cupola rather, but that's not even the weakest armour you can shoot at, and it's a bigger section of armour, and it's weaker armour. So if you know where to shoot one of these things, it's not difficult to take them down quickly. Of course, this being one of the Nuffield tanks, it's got the usual things of being very slow in a straight line and being very slow to traverse as well, so you absolutely have to keep your enemies at your front at all times. And when you've got a nimble little machine like a Type 64 threatening you, then that's bad news indeed. Now this guy, this Type 64, watch this. No, I don't know what he's doing either. That wasn't even an aimed shot, and it's still pen. That was pretty lucky for him. But yeah, for some reason he decided it was a good idea to drive in a straight line backwards in front of the very rapid firing gun of this machine. Didn't work out for him somehow. It was a bit lucky he got that second shot of damage in though. So meanwhile the IS, well, he must have taken a hit from artillery. He decides to push in, and he probably wouldn't have killed Toprem if he'd gotten a shot off, but well, he didn't get a chance. I mean, he drove around the corner, fired on the move, didn't get as lucky as the Type 64, and then Toprem was just able to easily outgun him. So, just over 4 minutes in, most of each team is dead already. That is a TOG 2 that's been on the field the entire time, by the way. That's not your eyes deceiving you. Somebody spawned in on this map, and it's Assault, by the way, so it's only a 10-minute match. They decided they were going to drive across the field in a TOG in a game with 3 artillery. Yeah, I don't even know how they're still alive at this point. I guess artillery's just been shooting at other things. And speaking of artillery, well, there's one of them, the M12. And this being a 9:15 replay, the reticle bug is, well, not the reticle, the silhouette bug is in effect, so silhouettes aren't always showing up, but they are sometimes. So 2 shots in, and gets the third, there we go. If you can plant yourself relatively far from the enemy and just lay down the fire, it is a very good DPM on this machine, but I mean, this is a 10-minute match, this is an assault game, and Toprem hasn't really had that choice at any point, because it's just the nature of this map and the nature of this game mode. He really did have to get on the move, and it's a good thing he did, because he's one of the very few tanks left alive at this point. Now he could go after that M41, but then on the minimap, well, it might not have even been on the minimap, but I spotted on the minimap the IS-2 was there, but it might have been that the IS-2 tried to fire at him and missed wildly because it was on the move at several hundred meters distance. Although, having said that, it's a Russian tank. It should have actually hit under those circumstances. Anyway, so yes, he manages to get the low health IS-2, which is very useful. Unfortunately, however, the Tiger P in the meantime has died, and he was quite low health as well. Now, I think that Tiger P got a reasonable score out of this. I can't remember what the score screen is exactly, but either way, this is very bad news for Toprem because he's facing a T-43, which is reasonably fast. I mean, the gun is good enough, and he can easily get around Toprem. So at this point, it just becomes a bit of a guessing game. He has to try and outguess this T-43 player. He just has to hope the T-43 player isn't very good. Now, he might have known for a fact, because maybe he was using XVM at the time of this battle. Of course, I don't get that information with the replay. So it is possible that he had more information than I have on this T-43 player and was making decisions based on that. And that's one of the things that you can do when you use XVM. But with a thing like XVM, I mean, it's kind of like it can go both ways. It's a two-edged sword. And I know for a fact there are a lot of players that would like to see XVM just not be a thing that works in World Tanks at all, because it would create an even playing field for everybody, basically. Or else you could make everybody have it, but that would change the nature of the game a bit. So, cautiously pressing forwards. Now, the Tiger P counselling against going out in the open, which is absolutely the right advice. You want to stay near cover that you can use to prevent somebody just circling around you. You want to try and not give them that option, because this is a bad place to be in, or a bad situation to be in something like an AT-8 against a medium tank that can just absolutely run rings around you. Fortunately, however, he got spotted going past, and I'm not sure if it was him that spotted him or if it was the artillery, but either way, the T-43 could have taken some shots at his back, but apparently didn't spot him. Now, artillery chooses this moment to pop up and whack him. And he also gets a lucky bounce, considering the angle from the T-43 there. And, well, he knows this guy's fired. The T-43 is trying to fire at his back, but not doing it very effectively. So he drives forward, takes the kill he knows he can get while that guy's reloading. And, yeah, he might have taken another hit and more damage in the process, but one more hit would have been survivable. So the T-43 goes for it at this point. He maybe could have used some backup from his allied artillery. That's one of the things I think the Tiger P or somebody else was saying in the chat, that they were trying to chivvy the allied artillery into driving towards the cap, because we're getting very close on time now. And even one of the artillery being there would have been useful, but it's only just now that the Guerrilla is getting towards this position. The Su-14-1 is a rather slow and unwieldy machine, so I can maybe understand them wanting to stay put. But he's not even relocated to where he could get shots on the T-43. So he's a bit useless at this point. The Guerrilla might be able to help, but seems unwilling to take the risk. Now, the fact that they are the assaulting team means they have to kill this guy if they want to win. If this T-43 lives, the enemy team wins, just by having had someone that survived. There's no way they can cap. There's literally 20 seconds left. So Toprem clearly just says to himself, to hell with it. You just got to try. This is do or die. And quite fortunately, he gets a bounce from that T-43 with just 60 odd health remaining. And at that point, he's just able to use the DPM to pummel the guy to death. So, a bit of a carry. And considering it was a tier 7 game, it wasn't ideal for the AT-8. That was a pretty good result. So it was his ace tanker, high caliber, top gun, and a steel wall with over 3,000 damage done and 7 kills. The next best was a top tier heavy tank with 1,900 damage and 1 kill. So he had to do quite a lot in that one, and he outperformed his top tier heavy tanks quite significantly and literally clinched the win. A more timid player would have just not taken the risk, but he knew that it was do or die, that he had to try or else concede defeat. And he did try, and it worked perfectly. It could have been a very different result. You know, it all came down to those last final seconds. If that final shot from the T-43 had gone in, or if the T-43 had even taken advantage of his mobility. I mean, that T-43 player seemed a bit timid, really, to be honest. So, yeah, although having said he seemed a bit timid, maybe he was just trying to play out the clock. Maybe that was his strategy, and that was why he was being so shy. Who knows? Anyway, so I thought that was a rather entertaining match, though, and you don't get to see a lot of these matches on YouTube, or matches with the AT-8 anyway. So I figured it was a good match. It's a machine you don't see very often, so it seemed like a good one to put up on the channel. And hopefully you agree with me. And if you do, you can hit the like button. You can leave any comments below. You can sub to my channel if you haven't already. And as always, stay tuned for more.